Hi, I'm Justin from Automate Office Work, and this is Request Hub from the perspective of the average requester. A little bit of background why the need for this tool if we have email and email is working so well for us. Well, actually, email is the problem. It's too easy for people to send you unstructured, random, garbage emails. They need help. They don't know even who to email, and they don't know what to write in those emails. But they can tell their boss, oh, I emailed it to legal. So now it's sitting with legal. Legal is the bottleneck. Legal is the problem. And now you're left sorting through the mess. Well, the better way to do this is to set up a front door. It's not the fault of the requester. You didn't give them a better way to approach you. If all you have is email for people to approach you, you're going to get emails. Loads and loads of emails. You're going to drown in the emails, and then all of the data is stuck in random people's inboxes with no universal view of everything. And so if other people want updates about where things stand, or if they want a report about maybe there's an audit in the future, looking back a couple of years, and now you have to do data mining in people's emails, when the better way is to structure this going forward. Now, I alluded to it slightly. The very first problem with emails is that many users don't even know who they need to send the email to. It's not their fault. They are often people from other departments. They don't know your department. They don't know the people in your department or what the various people do. So they will send an email to maybe the only person in your department who they know. So you might be on the receiving end of these emails. You receive an email from somebody in another department. They ask for help in getting their email to the right person in your department. What if your department is hundreds of people and you don't know everyone? You don't know what everyone does. And even if you do, people change from day to day, from week to week. New people join and people leave. So this is quite a big problem, and you need to start structuring these kinds of requests in a way that is not email, in a way that people can come and they can go through a menu of the different requests that they can make. And when they then fill out a form, the form guides them through the exact data points that you need. Okay, so I guess let's go through the other problem. Besides not knowing who to email, well, a form solves this, because when they submit the form, it doesn't matter who receives the email. It's going to be logged. It's going to be tracked. It's going to go to the right team who needs to do things at the right stage. Okay, as well as, so now if you give them a form to fill in every single data point, now you don't even need a conversation going back and forth. Let's say you do finally receive this garbage email. It gets to the right person and you read through the email and you see it doesn't have the data points that you need. They did it wrong. They don't even know what to ask. Of course not. They're not in your department. They need something from you. They don't know what you need in order to help them. So set up a form. This stops the 2 weeks of conversation going back and forth. Okay. So now imagine, not only do you get the data going to the right team, you get the exact right data points from the very beginning, all at once, immediately. Okay. And then if you set this up right with automation, because you have received every single data point that you need, you might not even need to physically review the data points, because you have set up your form with logical reasoning, if this, then that, and you get the exact data points that you need, so much so that maybe an automation can do all of the next steps. It can fill in a template with those data points. It can then route it for approvals, or it can It can save it in your repository, convert it to PDF, and send it for electronic signature through Adobe Sign or DocuSign. All without you having to review it because you already set up the structure. You put in place the guardrails so that people act, they have the behaviors exactly as you have designed it. Okay? So we do it with a little bit of intention, and then we get rid of the chaos. Okay? And even better, the data points that used to be stuck in emails, and we're thinking, oh, we need to now use AI to extract the data points. Now you don't even need the AI. The AI doesn't need to look through piles and garbage emails. It can get the data points because we've already generated the data points. There's no need to extract. So now you don't even need AI to read somebody's email, which you don't even know what they're going to write in their email, right? Like, are they going to give the right data points? How is AI going to extract the data that's not even there, right? So, okay, we've solved. I hope I've convinced you that this is a great approach. You put in place a front door with forms and you get all the data points, and I'm here to show it to you today from the user experience. So you present to your users, hopefully on your own website, a list of the different, or a menu of the different things that they can request. They come to one of those such forms. It has a unique form ID in the URL. This one is form equals KEJY. So this form, this identifier, will always be the same. You can rename the form, but the URL will stay the same. And right now you see it from the perspective of me, as I'm an administrator of the system. I'm also an owner of the form. So I can edit this form. I can also submit it on behalf of someone else. So let's say a person doesn't submit this form. Maybe they still email me, and just to be nice, or maybe we're in a transition phase, so maybe I set up an appointment with this person. We do have a face-to-face conversation, but this form is our script. We're going to go through it, and I will fill out the form with them, so I can submit it on behalf of them. That is why we have this. Okay, so I'm going to actually get rid of my administrative rights. I'm going to say and admin equals false and owner equals false. So it will see me as an average user. So it gets rid of that button to edit and to assign it to someone else. Now I am just an average user. Okay, so you'll see here there is at the top, there's a save button and a submit button. The submit button is grayed out because we have not filled in the form properly. The instruction says fill in the form below. If a section is highlighted, you need to correct something before you can submit. Okay? The user can always save. When I do save, the URL will change. Instead of saying form equals KEJY, it will say submission equals, and then it will generate a random character code for this submission. And they can always close the browser and come back to this unique submission again, and they can continue where they left off until they finally submit it. Okay, so we'll start going through this. The title of this form, it's called Order Cake. We are going to order a cake as a requester. There is a team, which is bakery, and if I clicked on the bakery link, it'll show me a list of all of their forms that they have. It does say asterisk equals required, so there are some questions on here that are required, others are not. And the first element on the form, it's a paragraph. It says welcome. We need to know some things so we can make your cake. Oh, that's so nice. You can give explanations to your user. Let them know about the experience and what they can expect and what they need to do next. You can explain it to them. The first question, it says, pick a flavor. It is required. And we have a question mark icon, which shows that if I click on this, I will get some helpful text. I click on it and it says, here is some helpful text. if you don't know what flavor means. So yeah, often people like to pretend that they're not very smart when they're filling in forms. And so you can give your users a little bit of extra help right where they need it. This question is highlighted because it is the next question that we need to do, that we need to fulfill something, and we have not done it yet. So as we go along, this highlighted section will go down. It will highlight the next question that is mandatory and needs to be done. Okay, since it is the next thing we need to do, we do have an error. It tells us what we need to do. It says select from the drop down in these red letters, and we have a drop down it says select, and when I click on the drop down, we have different options for the flavor of the cake. We have chocolate, vanilla, carrot, and other. If I select chocolate, the highlight of the section goes down to the next question that is mandatory, which is lower down. I'm going to pause here though. I'm going to select other. And if we say other, we're actually going to get another question will appear after this flavor that is hidden right now because we have not picked other, so we don't need to type in to specify what other means. This is to give a better user experience to the user. We do not need to show them every single possible question, especially when it doesn't apply yet. So we wait until it does apply to show it to the user. And if it's mandatory, it will be highlighted. A question that is mandatory, but only when it's visible, of course, that only has an impact on this form if it's visible. So once it's visible, then it really is mandatory. Okay, so I'm going to click on other. And this next question appears. It says specify the other flavor. It is mandatory, and the error says text required. So we don't have any minimum number of characters. It's just any kind of text. So since it's blank, there's no text in there yet. I'm going to start typing. Let's say lemon. So I'll type L. And the highlight goes away because we have at least one letter in here. We didn't specify a minimum number of characters, so the minimum number is 1 by default. So I'll type in lemon. Okay, the user can pick other and then type lemon for the other flavor. The next question is not mandatory. It says select up to a maximum of 3 toppings, and we have some checkboxes with nuts, fruits, marshmallows, sprinkles, and the user can add a custom topping. It doesn't just say add custom item, but we have specified, it says in there add custom topping. So the user can type something like Oreos, they can type cookies, maybe, coconut, and if I type one more thing like chocolate, it says I've gotten an error. It's highlighted in blue again because there's an error that we have to resolve before submitting this form. It says a maximum of 3 checkboxes may be selected. Remember, we said select up to a maximum of 3 toppings. So once you select more than that, there is that error. Any of these toppings that I add, I can also remove them, or I can just unselect them. Now I've only selected 2. If I choose nuts and then fruits, I've again selected more than 3. And I get the error. So I need to get this down to a maximum of 3. Okay. The next question is now highlighted and it's mandatory. It says who will pick up the cake when ready. At least 1 email address required. And I have an input here. It says email address. And when I start typing, this email address is connected to my company's Outlook address book. So I can only type in an email address that is in my Outlook address book for the company. Other options for email addresses, we could say type in any email address and it would do a check to make sure that it fits the pattern of an email address, which is something at something dot something. Another way that we can check this is that we can specify a group of domains that are allowed, like gmail.com or mycompany.com. And it would do a check of those, though it cannot verify that the actual email address exists. But now that I have actually specified that only my local company's email accounts are allowed. So it actually checks in the local address book of the company. And so as I type JUS, and when I get, oh, it is only 3 letters. Okay, so as I type 3 letters, it shows the email addresses that match. So I have 2 email addresses for Justin. One is at automateofficework.onmicrosoft.com. The other one is Justin at automateofficework.com. And I am going to pick the first one. All right. And it makes it's called a token appears. It shows that we've picked that email address. There's also an X that I can take it away. But now I have fulfilled the requirement of specifying who will pick up the cake when it's ready. So the highlighted background moves down to the next question. When do you wish to pick up the cake? Must be tomorrow at the earliest and a week from today at the latest. The error says select a date in red, and I can pick a date from this date picker. Today is Saturday, February 7th. So if the earliest date is tomorrow. So if I pick today, maybe it's on. I think it's doing, because it's just after midnight my local time here, and so it is actually comparing to the universal, the Greenwich Mean Time is how it's set up right now. So it's not looking at my local time. Okay, so if I said, let's do a couple days before. I pick the 4th of February, which is a few days ago, and I get an error. It says that date is not allowed with a red box. Okay, so if I also say more than a week from today, so let's say like the end of the month, like 3 weeks from now, it also says that date is not allowed. But if I do within, like, from tomorrow during the week period, the 1 week period, the error goes away. Okay, it is no longer highlighted. We have fulfilled what we need to do. We still cannot submit because there's still something else we need to do lower. But a lot of these next questions are optional, so there is no highlighted background. The next one is optional comments, and this is just a text box. You can type freely whatever you would like, and you can also enter down, and that text box looks very, very nice. It expands to contain everything that the user writes or types. The next question, it says upload an optional image of the cake you want. And there is an upload button. It says upload file. And when I click on this, it goes, I'm going to go to, it shows only the images, is .gif, .jpeg, and PNG files. And I'm going to go to my desktop, to my samples folder, and I have a nice image here, a nice JPEG. I'm going to upload this one, and I can upload many files. Any file that I add, I can also take it away, but I have done this. You can also set the number of files you want to like a minimum and a maximum. I also I constrained the file types to be only images. You can constrain it to other file types if you want. If you only want PDFs or docx files, you can do that. Okay, the next question is how many cakes do you want? A minimum of 1, maximum of 10. This one is required, and we've already filled it in with the default of 1. This is only a number, so I cannot freely type random letters. And the decimal place, there are no decimal places here. So if this was money, we could set that to 2 decimal places. This one has no decimal places, so it is only whole numbers that are allowed. And the minimum is 1, maximum is 10. So if I was to do like a minus symbol, minus 10. And when I click away from this, it reverts, it goes automatically to 1, the minimum. The same if I go 1 and then I add a 0 and a couple more zeros, that is well over the maximum of 10. When I click away, it goes back to the maximum, which is 10. Something very similar if I was to do 5 and then a period and then a 555. That is not a whole number. When I click away, it says an error occurred. That's nice. So I will, of course, be fixing that, but it gave an error. It should not be allowing that. Okay. The next question is what size? And you have these beautiful buttons, small, medium, and large. And the medium one was picked by default. And the user can click on these to pick a different one. And the last question on this demonstration is which country? Start typing. Must select at least one option. And in the input, it says country. So we do have a list of, I believe it's about 200 countries, and that list is too long to show the user. If I was to show you a drop down with 200 options, it's too much. It's too overwhelming. So we have it in the background, and we just allow the users to start typing. This list of countries, you can use different sources of data to supply this list of countries. Let's say you have like 100 of these forms, and asking for a country is very common on a form. And let's say you do have this list of 200 countries. You don't want to type that into all 100 of your forms, right? 200 countries times 100. That's a lot of typing. And also, let's say like every few years a new country comes into creation or a country is renamed. You don't want to have to go to all of your hundreds of forms and update that. So what we do is we have an outside source of this data, which can be an Excel spreadsheet. It can be a SharePoint list, and it can also be just a text file, like a .txt file with each of the items like separated by a comma or a space or some very common character. So what I've done is, I believe it's a text file, and all the countries are separated by a comma. And so as I start typing, if I type the letter N, it shows Afghanistan, Albania, Andorra, Angola. All of these have the letter N somewhere in them. If I type E, I got Brunei, Equatorial Guinea, French Polynesia, Guinea, Indonesia. Now I'm going to go to T, and I've got Netherlands and Netherlands Antilles. And I'm going to pick the Netherlands. So that's good. Okay, so which country? Start typing. I also made it so that you can put in a custom name. So let's say that somebody thinks that there's a country called like the Vatican or something. Like maybe to them that really is a country, but it's not on my list. So I made it so that they can start typing Vatican, and when they press enter, it makes a custom token. So I put it in the back end of this that custom values are allowed. But you see here, we're trying to get consistency versus flexibility. So if the user is looking for a country and they find it, they'll use it, and that's great. But there are circumstances when they need to be able to create like a new value. Maybe I'll take in a few of these forms and I'll see people keep adding this custom value. So maybe I'll add it to my list of countries because it makes sense, right? Okay, so this is pretty much it for the user experience of filling in a form. I can save this and come back to it later, or I can submit it. I have fulfilled all the needs, so I can submit this. We do have a couple more question types. One of them is a spreadsheet of data. Let's say you have like a price list or something with an item, a description, a price, and maybe something like a quantity or something. And you need to be able to take this in because somebody is requesting maybe a contract and you need a price list. Well, the best way to get this data is just to get the data itself right? So that type of question, it allows people to either type in directly and add rows directly manually, or they can upload a spreadsheet of data that already exists and we extract the data. So I don't need the actual spreadsheet. What I need is the data from the spreadsheet. And then maybe my automation will take all of that data and it will insert it into a Word document. So I don't even have to manually copy and paste, right? So this is what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to avoid any of this manual work, and we're trying to get the user to give us the exact data that we need. Like if I was to ask them, like, upload a file with your spreadsheet, they might like upload an image, like a scanned image, and then what? Then I have to like manually type from some blurry skewed image. So it's not the file that we want, it's the data from that file. And so we get this exactly from the user as we want to. Okay, so I'm going to submit this. I'm happy with it. The user clicks on submit. It says submitting. It takes a second because it's going to take a snapshot of this and convert it to PDF, and it's going to keep that on file in the log. Okay, so now in the URL it says submission equals, and then there's a random, what is that? Is that 6 or 8 characters in the URL? It says in this box, your request has been submitted. You can follow it here at, and then the URL. The reviewing team will review and leave comments until your request is completed. You will receive notifications by email. You can manage your subscription settings below. So now that this is submitted, this person will receive updates, and they will be notified at their email, but they will always be able to come here and they can see a history, a log of every action and every comment, every time the status of this has changed, every time that there is any kind of a file uploaded. Okay, so this makes it so this isn't just an intake platform, this is an entire request platform. This takes all of the data and it puts it onto SharePoint. So the data is not trapped inside of email. If it's trapped in email, you have to be a recipient of the email to see it, right? And this incentivizes people to copy everybody on every single email. And the more that you do that, the more that you're flooding everybody with emails that they don't want to see. So instead, this is our permanent place. This is the record of this request, and as things progress, this person also doesn't have to email the team asking them once a week, where are we with my request? They can come here and they can see it themselves. So you see, we are getting rid of the emails, getting rid of the need to receive emails. We're putting the data where it needs to be in a proper, like a request platform. Okay, so let's imagine I'm on the team receiving this. So I receive an email letting me know that this person submitted this, and it's now in my list of submissions for this form. I can see that the status of it is review, so I need to review it. I'm on the reviewing team. I can also see when it was submitted, who submitted it, the unique ID. I can see the name of my team. If I click on the name of my team, Bakery, it shows me a list of every submission of every form that we own. So I can see all of everything on one screen. I come to this page and I see that it is not assigned to anyone yet. Maybe there's multiple people on my team, and so we might want to assign this to a certain team member. Okay, I can see everything that that submitter did. Everything is read only because I want to see what this looked like originally. And we can see everything, even the image that they uploaded. If I click on this, it opens up the image in a new tab. So I can see that. And yeah, I cannot change anything. Underneath that is a PDF section. I can click on this report.pdf and it shows me this is a screenshot of what the form looked like exactly when they submitted it. So we will have this every time that this form is submitted. We know exactly what it looks like. And I believe it's also every time the status is changed. We take a snapshot of the entire page. Okay, underneath that, I need to remove that. It says true, just for some testing. But this means that I am an admin and I am an owner. That'll be removed in the actual version of this. It's an assigned section, and I have a drop-down menu with everybody who is on my team. I'll select myself. I have optional comment emailed to the assignee, and I can assign this to this person. So I'm going to click on assign, and there we go. It's now assigned to that person. I can reassign it as well if we need to. But now there is a single person who's been assigned. And below that is our subscribers box. This is if anybody wants to be receiving the automated emails, they can subscribe themselves. And that's with this button, unsubscribe or subscribe. I am already subscribed because I was the person who submitted this. So of course they're subscribed to receive notifications. Me as an owner or an admin, I can always add even more people. And there is a checkbox here for each person who has subscribed. It says status change only. And this means that if they check this box, they will not receive notifications when there are comments, but only when the status has changed. Only when, say, like the entire request is completed, or we need approvals, or we need something else, they'll be notified for those, but not just a simple comment. Okay, as well as when people do receive the emails, there is text, like boilerplate at the bottoms of these emails. It says you are receiving this email because you are subscribed to receive notifications. If you no longer want to receive these notifications, you can manage your subscription preferences yourself by going to the URL of this submission, and you can click unsubscribe. So you see, we're getting rid of the emails. We're getting rid of the need for me, say like when I update this request, I no longer have to think, who should I email to let them know about this? People who want to know, they can manage it themselves. If they want to receive an email, they can. And at the same time, the data is not in the email. The data is here. The data is on this page, where they can see everything in one place. They don't need to gather all the different emails and piece together the story. They can look at it right here. Okay. The next section is tasks. If there are further tasks, we can add a task, we can assign it to a person, we can describe what we want them to do, we can make a deadline, and we can have a reminder frequency. These reminders go out automatically. You can do it between never and daily, and then every other day, every 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, up to every 7 days, which in English we call that weekly. Okay, and you can create a task, and then everybody who looks at this page can see which tasks are outstanding. People assign the task, they can update the status, they can leave comments on a task. Okay. The next part is the history, here you can set the status to something else. You can also leave a comment. I'm an admin and also an owner of this, so I can leave an internal comment. This is comments that will be shown only to my team and me, not necessarily to the requester. Anybody can upload a file as they leave a comment or change the status. And when you submit it, it adds a row down here to the history. So you can see the very first row, it says that I submitted the form at this date and time. And you also see a copy of the report.pdf. This is that screenshot at exactly the time that I submitted it. Okay. And every time the status is changed, there will be another snapshot. So as things change, you see a copy of the entire screen. I'm an admin, so I can also, let's see, I can send this back to draft. I can send this back to the submitter. I can put them onto the previous screen, and maybe I leave a comment like, hey, you filled out the form wrong. Maybe I didn't do the guardrails exactly right. Or I can tell that they did it wrong. So I can send it back to them and make them submit it again. So every time they submit, there's going to be a history of that screenshot, the report.pdf. It's going to be down here, okay? And as I leave comments with uploaded files and I change the status, the subscribers are automatically notified by email about these new comments, the status changes. So as we go along, we have a history of the entire request process. If somebody needs to do something, I can create a task for them. If, let's say, I need further approvals from some other department, like tax or finance, now I don't have to go do that myself. I can appropriately put that responsibility onto the requester. I can change the status to approvals needed, and I can say, hey, Joe, go get approval from finance for this. And when you do, upload evidence of it so we can all see it, and then we will go to the next step. We might then, at the very end, I will change the status to approved, and I can upload maybe a copy of the contract that has been generated, and I can say, here's your contract, go get it signed, and then upload a copy of the signed contract here. So if you need this, if you have you might already have systems for, say, like a contract or some kind of like an HR process or whatever systems you have, great, keep using them. But chances are good that there are parts of your work that you do not yet have a proper system for it. So you're stuck with emails, okay? So all those other things that don't have a system yet, that need a system, you can use this, okay? You can use this for a lot of work. I'm not saying that this is going to do everything that you could possibly need, but what I have found that this often meets, let's say, 90% of people's needs. They just need to be able to take in some stuff, be able to process it with some comments, and then mark it as completed, and they're done, okay? You might find that you have other processes where you have more like, 10 or 20 steps. That is not this. This is not 10 or 20 steps. This is more of the basic, like 2 or 3 steps, but it does get a lot of the needs met, right? So let's say about 90% of your needs. Okay, so get something like this set up for your company, for your team. Yeah, I have already built it, so reach out to me. We will get you set up with this. And then once you get rid of like 90% of emails, you get rid of 90% of these requests, then we can start focusing on the more complicated things, the more complex requests that need something that is more than this. But at that point, at least you've gotten rid of 90% of your work, and then you can focus more on the more complex stuff that really need your attention. Okay, let's also go over, let's say the person doesn't even know which form they need. Maybe there's like 20 different forms on your website, and the user doesn't know which one to pick. Well, in that case, we can send them to a URL. Instead of a form, we're going to send them to a tree. Tree equals legal. So every team or every department could create its own, I call these decision trees. And so this goes through a beautiful experience for the user. There's a blue box at first, and it says, welcome. This decision tree will help you find the appropriate form. What is your contract type? and there's a drop-down menu. It says select, and then the options are black, white, green. If they pick black, it says fill in the form below, and this is the form for ordering a cake. So it appears seamlessly below. It doesn't refresh and refill the entire screen. It just fills in the form below that decision tree, and it automatically changed the URL to the form URL. So they're here. They can keep going. If I was to go back and say select, it goes back to the URL where it says tree equals legal, and they're back at having to select the type of contract. If I select, instead of black, if I select white, maybe there is no form. Maybe you tell them you don't need to fill in a form. You're not at the threshold, you don't need a contract, whatever. Or you can also tell them, go do something else. Go to another system. We already have, maybe there's a link to another form that already exists. Maybe you have a different system already set up for this specific thing. So you can give them a message. This one says, contact your legal counsel. You know, maybe this is too complex for a form. Maybe it's not a self-service kind of a thing. They need to actually go meet with somebody. The next option, it says green. And at this stage, we give them another message. It says, great choice. What flavor? And they have another drop-down menu. So you can keep doing this many, many layers, as complex as this needs to be, until they get to the right action that they need to do or the correct form. But now when it says pick a flavor, if I say vanilla, now we give them a final message, book an appointment, and maybe this is the form to book an appointment, but this is the ordering a cake. It's the same form, but you get the picture that you can show the user the appropriate form at the right time. Okay, so if I was to say instead pick a flavor, it's back here. We remove that form. If I come back here and I say select, we're right back at the beginning of our journey. So this system allows you to give a much better structured journey to your users. It makes it so that they can approach you in the best way that you want to be approached. You can structure this, you can get all the data points, you can make it so that we have the appropriate records. Things don't have to be just random emails. And you don't need to go straight to AI extracting data from garbage emails, right? Like, what if the emails don't even have the right data? How is the AI going to extract it? This is crazy. But also, once you get this in place, you could imagine you could feed all of this to an AI, and it can learn from the historic data. Instead of just having a blank chatbot that is making stuff up, in some cases, maybe the chatbot learns from these forms and now it has a script. And guess what it's going to ask? It's going to ask the exact same things that are on these forms. So your user could actually have two different interfaces. You could present them with a blank, empty box to start chatting, or you can just show them a form and they go through the form, right? Let the users pick which experience they want. But yeah, my name is Justin, and this product is available. Connect with me, and we can answer any specific questions you have. We can get it set up on your system. And if there are any features in here that you need, there are additional features that I haven't shown, of course, because this is just the basic user experience. But check out the other video that shows how to create forms as a form owner and as the administrator. Check out the features of it and let's connect. My name is Justin. My email address is justin@automateofficework.com, and you can find me on my website, automateofficework.com. There's a great big book a call button. In fact, I'll show it here. All right, this is my website. And at the top, I'm growing my list of products. This is one of a few products that I have available. I'm calling it Request Hub. Drowning in emails, create a front door to take in and manage requests. No more emails. And when you click on that, it'll take you to automateofficework.com/products/request hub, and I will build out this page. I'll add this video to this page, and you can learn all about this product, how to install it, how to use it, and all of its features.